Hello and welcome to Games Jobs Live Northeast. If you've not been to one of these before, I'm Colin McDonald.
I'm Ollie Bennett.
So we're lucky enough to have Ollie that's going to be doing the local hosting for us today. Myself, I've been in the games industry for about 30 years now. So although the Northeast isn't my area, and it's why we've got Ollie, I know enough to know we've got some amazing companies today. I'm really looking forward to hearing from them and hear what they've got to say. Before we get stuck into that, Ollie, would you be able to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and also just the background to the local games industry?
Sure, yeah. So I started in the games industry about, 15 years ago, or I must be approaching that. And I went from university into a career in QA, and then through that into quality assurance management, a little bit of design, bit of production, and then ultimately starting my own indie studios. So now I run Cardboard Sword. We'll be featuring later on with my colleague Chris. And alongside setting up and running Cardboard Sword for the last 7 years, I also run a network event called Gamebridge with a colleague of mine, Bruce Slater. And that's a networking event up here, which we've been running for the same amount of time, 7 years. But yes, the Northeast region, obviously since Steel sort of met its fate, things have been moving in new directions, and digital has been one of those major new areas it's been moving to. So with ERDF funding, entities such as Middlesbrough Digital and Digital City have all started up trying to promote sort of Northeast growth in the digital sector. So when Cardboard Sword was starting up, we had sort of subsidies and help with that. And they've been building a bunch of new buildings specifically designed for digital companies in the region. So there's been lots of games companies starting up, a lot more than one might think. And when I was surprised to find out quite how many there were, which is why I set up the networking event. And one of the companies, Sock Monkey, later on, they're similar sort of age to Cardboard Sword, so started this similar sort of time. Double 11, a little bit older, a few years older, but also based in Middlesbrough. And then in the Northeast Newcastle region, we've got some companies that have been sort of making games for much longer than that. So we've got Ubisoft Reflections later in this event, who have been one of the longest running. We've got companies like Epic, and obviously People Can Fly, who are here later on, and newer companies like Coconut Lizard, Nosebleed, and Coatsink in Sunderland. So the Northeast is quite a large reaching area, and quite a lot of different companies of different sizes. So it's really growing. There's networking events. There's a Games Drinks event in Newcastle held I think it's last Friday or first Friday, forgive me, Frankie, who runs Pocket Money Games. It's another one. But yes, there's quite a network of games people and freelancers as well, and we get together in Middlesbrough and in Newcastle and sort of promote the region to each other. And as I say, entities like Middlesbrough Digital sort of help us grow those networks and those networking events.
Fantastic. And I mean, certainly out of everywhere we've done these, I think the Northeast sounds like it has the coolest company names, between Coconut Lizard and People Can Fly and Sock Monkey. I mean, are people there more creative, do you think?
I wouldn't want to say either way. I'm from London originally, if you can't tell from my accent. But yeah, there's a general sense of creativity, I think, a sense of people trying to reinvigorate the region. And as I mentioned, after Steel kind of was moved out of the country, they needed to survive, and digital was certainly one of the best ways to do that, and a natural progression. So I think there is that heart of regeneration, and that spawns creativity. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to today's presentations, actually. Just before I leave it in your capable hands, mostly just for folks that haven't been to a Games Jobs Live event before, the whole point of these events is to connect great studios with amazing talent that are either looking for a change in the games industry, or looking for their first job in the games industry, or are perhaps coming from a different sector and looking to get into games. So we know people have got all sorts of backgrounds. We've got a brilliant selection of companies today. And what you've got to keep in mind is the reason these companies are here is to speak to you. They're looking for their next great talent to join them. We're trying to, I think we've got 5 companies today because we're trying to get through 5 companies and do various other things. Each company only has a couple of minutes to present in the stream. But it'll give you an idea about them, and you can follow up with them directly and find out a little bit more about them. To start with, what you want to do is you want to be in the Discord. So if I switch on our glamorous ticker, throughout the whole stream, there is this ticker which has the Discord link. Don't put that into Discord itself, just put that into a browser and it will redirect using our web redirection. But go to discord.gamesjobs.live. That's discord.gamesjobs.live. That's where all the companies are. That's where everyone else that's on this is chatting. Don't bother chatting in the YouTube stream. Come to the Discord, chat with each other. Each of the companies has a dedicated channel, and you can go in and ask them anything you like. All the companies have someone staffing those channels from now until 6 o'clock, so for the next 2 hours. And then also, as we've got the companies chatting live in the stream, give us questions to ask them publicly. Let us know your burning questions. We can only put a couple of questions to them live in the stream, but put questions in the Discord, and Ollie will put a couple of them to the companies. In the Discord, the folk that are from the companies are, I think they're in green, so they're the official people. Regardless whether they're official or not, don't give your personal details out to anyone. We've had 1 or 2 idiots in the past. All the companies have moderator access. They'll just delete or ban anyone that's being an idiot. So if there's any nonsense, please just report it to myself, any of the moderators or any of the companies. Don't give your personal details out. At the end of this stream, you will get another email with all the links to all the jobs from all of the companies today. So if you've not already registered, you want to register on the Eventbrite, you can get to it through the Games Jobs Live website. So that's just gamesjobs.live. Go there, you can register for about the next hour, and then at, I think it's 5:30 today, that email will come out with all the URLs to all the jobs, and that's how you follow up with the companies. There's no middlemen or anything. You can just apply and chat directly to the companies. But get in the Discord and ask them. They're here itching for questions. I see most of the channels have lit up already. There's questions flowing. So jump in there with questions. Do pay attention throughout the chats though. You want to have the live stream and the Discord running at the same time, because we'll run a little quiz at the end. And it's just for fun, but we'll just see who's been paying the most attention to the company's presentations. It would be remiss of me not to ask you to subscribe to the Games Jobs Live YouTube channel if you've not already. So please do subscribe it, like it, share it, whatever you can do. It all helps spread the word, and that in turn attracts more and bigger and more varied companies to future events. Just before I hand over to Ollie and leave you with the more interesting stuff, I'd like to thank everyone that's helped promote the event today. I would especially like to thank Barclays, who have sponsored today's event. Thank you very much for them. We'll hear a little bit from them later on. And thank you for all the companies coming along and agreeing to give us their time to talk to us all today. I think it's great. And above all, Ollie, thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Very welcome.
They're really good fun. I hope you enjoy it. So without further ado, I will just leave things in your capable hands.
I hope they are capable. So first up, we're going to be talking to Ubisoft Reflections. As mentioned previously, Ubisoft have been around in the Northeast for a very long time now. It's I think it was over 30 years last time I checked. But they're very famous for, of course, the suite of Ubisoft games, everything from Far Cry, The Division, Assassin's Creed, and right the way back to sort of some of the driver games and the more recent Watch Dogs. So joining us from Ubi is Andrew. Andrew,
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you, Andrew?
I'm good, thank you. Good. Yeah, thank you for the intro.
It's okay. I don't think we've met before, but obviously, as I mentioned, you guys have been in the Northeast for a while now. You're based in those offices, are you?
Yeah, so I'm actually just around the corner actually at the minute in Gosforth, but yeah, I'm fairly new. I've been here since Jan, and yeah, seen quite a lot so far, I guess, in the first few months of being there. So
yeah, rough time to join, I imagine.
Well, it's been ups and downs, but it's been good.
Cool. Okay, well, look, I'll leave it to you in your presentation. But yeah, Ubisoft, you're right in the centre of Newcastle. Is that
no,
right?
we're just on the outskirts. So we're in a suburb called Gosforth, which is a nice suburb, but it's 10 minutes from the middle of Newcastle, so very easy to get to.
Cool. Okay, well, I'll leave you to get on with your presentation. Cool. So thank you very much.
Cheers. Yeah, so yeah, hi there. I'm Andrew. Yeah, I work as the senior talent acquisition specialist at Ubisoft. Yeah, as I mentioned, I've been here for a few months now, and yeah, we've had some good, we've had some bad, and we've had some challenges to overcome, just like everyone else, I guess. We've achieved some really good milestones across the business, and we've continued to grow our workforce, which is really, I think, really impressive in that time. I'm here today just to share some key information about the studio, who we are beyond the titles and beyond the sort of the global organization, who we are as Reflections, and just to really, I guess, let you know if we could be a good step in your career, whether you're a graduate or you're a games veteran. As well as this, as they mentioned, there's 5 of us in the Discord today, so jump on that channel and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. So yeah, again, as you mentioned, we've been around since 1984, so a definite mainstay within the gaming community of the UK. We became a Ubisoft studio in 2006, and yeah, the first games that we produced as Ubisoft Studios were part of that Driver series. Reflections as a sort of larger business, we've started with iconic old school games like Destruction Derby and Driver, fan favorites like Grow Home, Grow Up, and all the way to the big blockbusters like The Division, Assassin's Creed, Watch Dogs, and everyone's guilty pleasure, Just Dance. There's about 200 of us in the studio. Well, I say in the studio, not in the studio, but working at Reflections. Most of us are at home at the minute. And as well as that, we do have Ubisoft Leamington, which was acquired in 2017, who work as a sister company down in Leamington. We work on the same games together. We co-lead projects, and it really just gives people the opportunity to essentially choose where they want to live if they want to work for Ubisoft on a AAA project in the UK. As a lead studio for Ubisoft, we are really growing. We continue to grow across all of our game development and back office disciplines. Throughout COVID, we've actually recently just taken a 10-year lease out on a new floor, which is at the minute a really good opportunity to give people more space, more security, and more, I guess, have the place a bit more COVID compliant, but it also allows us to fill our ambitious growth plans as we continue on through the next few years. We're not the only ones growing. Ubisoft itself, we're up to about 18,000 people now, so it is a genuine global enterprise, but you do feel at home in your local studio. So for me, that was definitely the best of both worlds. And here's a few of the games that Ubisoft Reflections and Leamington have been a part of. So, as I said, some of the big names, so Assassin's Creed, Division, Far Cry, some of the really iconic games of most recent times, but also things like Grow Up and Automega, which are definitely 2 of the favourites amongst the developers. There are 200 of us in the office when we can be. We come from 22 different countries, and more than 1 in 4 of your colleagues will be born outside of the UK. This makes it a really interesting place to work. Something I personally wanted. I moved back to the Northeast from London and really wanted to work in an international business, and we've really found that at home at Ubisoft. For those of you who are watching from outside of the UK as well, you may be asking how will Brexit and how will sort of international regulations affect us. One thing I would say is that we really are keen on bringing people from all corners of the world. We'll continue to support all aspects of transitioning people to the UK, whether it's through work visas, whether it's through relocation, because genuinely without our sort of international members of the team, we couldn't do what we do best, and that's makes really good inclusive games. And yeah, we just don't feel that we would be as strong without that. Again, if there's anyone who wants to talk about mobility or anything to do with relocation, please jump on the Discord and ask our questions. Also, when it comes to global mobility as well, we are an international business. We've got 40 odd offices across the world. So once you join us, you're part of the broader Ubisoft family. So yes, we hope that everyone comes and joins Reflection and has a good long career, but sometimes you just want to get out there and see the world. So we're all behind helping people move to different places. I'm sure there's a few sort of Geordie accents across some of the more far-fetching Ubisoft studios across the world. So the opportunities really here are genuinely endless. And one of the things, again, when I first started, I asked everyone, why did they join Ubisoft? What made them stay? And one of the big things that came to me was the people that work there. So it's not just having the fun, sharing the photographs of each other's pets in lockdown or the games that we play together. It was genuinely that as creative people, there was a desire for learning continuously. It wasn't just the graduates and the juniors who were looking to learn. It was actually a really challenging environment where people all across the game spectrum were happy to push each other, ask difficult questions, and find the best possible way to do things. We attend some big conferences, the Ubisoft Developers Conference across in Montreal every year. That's a great place to share knowledge, get ideas, and take innovations from teams all across the world. So again, it's not just your local studio you tap into, it's also the international community we have. So no matter where you are in the sort of game development ecosystem, if you turn it with an open mind, you generally will be rewarded with some really good learning. And as well as sort of learning for ourselves, we do also like to share. We do share a lot with local colleges, with universities, and also we have a gaming school in Leamington and in Newcastle, which sadly can't happen this year because of COVID, but that's generally for people between the age of 14 and 17 who are looking to get into the industry. So anyone here who's got some, I don't know, kids who want to get into it, definitely a good thing to look at. And yeah, despite all the challenges we've had in 2020, we're still continuing to grow. It has been really tough and we've had to change the way we do things, but I think we have really worked in the way that we thought we would. And we've been able to progress with all of our projects, going through major milestones. We'll talk about some game information later on, but also we've been able to hire across the whole studio. So that pretty extensive list there, which is pretty much a whole studio. These are all the different positions we've hired in 2020. As well as this, we brought 20 graduates in across art, design, and programming, some of which have moved from overseas. Sadly, we don't do, or not sadly, but we don't do internships in the UK studio, but we really believe that our junior intake and our graduate intake need to be paid for their contribution. So yes, it does make it a little harder to get through the door, but when you do, it allows us to invest in you more. And the graduate program will be something which we will be running again later this year. And it is our studio mission to make not just great games, but also make it a great place to work. Over the last few years, we became the first video game company to be given a number of accolades. So we got a gold award in the Mind workplace wellbeing. This is for an embedded mental health policy and practices all across the studio. And our latest award was the Reba Wellbeing Award for the best new wellbeing strategy. And we were highly commended for our best mental health wellbeing strategy. It is obviously it's a fun place to be. Building games and making games for a living is really good, but I think like everyone, especially at this time, we need to make sure we are looking after each other. We do spend a lot of time working with charities as well, so we have local charities for Leamington and for Newcastle, but also work with Special Effect. Like I know a lot of the guys who will be on the call will be today, just making sure that all games are inclusive, are fun and accessible for everyone who wants to play them. One of the great perks that we've got is that we do get paid volunteer days to go and work with people like Special Effects or anyone who we want to support. So you don't need to take time off to do that. And what you'll be working on. So I think one of the big things one of the big questions that we've had over the last few months was definitely what we'll be working on, what games have we got, and we're finally able to announce the two titles that we're making alongside Oculus and Facebook. The AAA VR games are going to be based on Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell and also on Assassin's Creed. So both really, really iconic games, really, really good. I think certainly to transition into the VR platform. But a really exciting time for the studio. If you are interested in these roles and you don't have VR experience, that's not a problem. A lot of the team, when they started, it came from the Division 2, so they didn't have that. Just make sure you come with a genuine interest and passion for it, but also I'd say, yeah, some strong sea legs as well. I think jumping off buildings might seem quite fun when you're playing a console game, but just try it on VR and it's a little more challenging, to be saying. And how do I join? There is lots and lots of different opportunities which are available right now. We've got 2 big projects, so as well as the announced VR projects, we've also got some unannounced projects as well. One which is a lead project, which is, well, I can't really say too much right now because it is, yeah, it's very much under wraps and right at the start of our of its life cycle. But one other thing I would say is that if you are looking to join a big new project, which is hopefully going to be a mainstay for Ubisoft, it's definitely worth going onto the job pages, having looked through all the jobs, and obviously being able to see what you're suitable for. If there isn't something in there which suits you exactly, I would say just to connect with the guys from the talent team. We're always happy to network. We're always happy to answer any questions, and obviously we're here to give any advice for anyone moving into the industry who might be able to do that. So. Thank you very much. I believe there may be a video being played now. I don't have it. I think Lisa does. So if she's playing the video, enjoy it.
Wow, quite a lot of stuff going on there, Andrew. That looked fantastic. Thank you very much for your
Good, no problem at all.
Very quickly, so the Northeast has got a lot of games courses at various universities and colleges, including Teesside, Newcastle, Northumbria, and Middlesbrough College. Yeah. So we get quite a lot of sort of graduates coming out, people with limited experience, obviously working on their portfolios, and they've done the course. But we've had quite a few questions on the Discord asking a bit more about sort of internship programs. And I know you mentioned during your presentation about the graduate program. Could you go into a little bit more detail and just any way that these sort of younger, less experienced persons can find their way into working at Ubi?
Yeah, as I said, we don't tend to do internships because a lot of the, I guess, investment that we make in sort of young people who are joining the community, we want to be able to invest as much as we can. So we do take on people within it's our own graduate program that we run as an individual studio. So we hire. I think we've hired 60 people over the last 4 years. There's some of the guys who started in 2017 are now up to senior as well. So we've had some really, really good progress from those who've joined.
And when did you say that was starting?
That'll start later this year. So yeah, so we're actually we're onboarding last year's troops, I suppose. At the minute, obviously, it has been quite difficult with relocating people, and there's quite a few international graduates come across as well. So yeah, finding them housing, and we've had to rent some temporary accommodation for quite a few people to come across here. Even send them shopping, things like that, because obviously people have had to self-isolate when they've arrived. So yeah, later on this year we should be looking for more.
Okay, brilliant. Well, thanks very much. As previously mentioned, if you want to follow up on any of those jobs, you can join the Discord, which is, once again, it's going across the bottom now, discord.gamesjobs.live. Also straight on the Ubisoft website. And of course, if you're signed up on the Eventbrite, you will be emailed after the event with notifications of all the jobs on today's session. So if you go to gamesjobs.live URL, you'll find a link to the Eventbrite where you'll be able to get registered and hear about those. So Andrew, thank you very much for joining us.
No, thank you very much, Ollie.
Brilliant. Cheers. Right. Okay, so next up we have got Monkey, like my company, started over 7 years ago. They're based here in Middlesbrough. They've been taking part in the program very much like myself. And they're run by Bob Makin. Hopefully he's there. There he is. Hi, Bob. How are you doing?
Hi, Ollie. I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Bob's a good friend of mine as well, and takes part in a lot of the industry networking events in the region and across the UK. Bob, I'll leave it to you.
Cool. Okay. I'll share my screen if it'll let me. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'm delighted that we're following Ubisoft. We're a very similar studio to Ubisoft, a couple of thousand people across. No, we're not really. There's a handful of us in a really cool office in Middlesbrough. So I'll just take you quickly through about who Sock Monkey are, what we do, and what we're looking for in people. So as a studio, we do a lot of work for hire projects. That's kind of our bread and butter. So that's, we work with other studios to do small parts of games, or like parts of a bigger team, or whole games or ports, things like that. These are a couple of our clients that we've worked for in the past few years. We're working on some really cool projects now as well, with a few of them as well, such as these here. So we've got a nice handful of totally different types of games. So things like Talking Tom with Outfit 7. We did parts of Delivers the Moon for Wired. I mean, totally different games there. Work a lot with Double 11, things like Prison Architect and Paradox there. Wally with Tens, and so all sorts of different things. So we really get into, you might not, rather than being stuck on a big project for 2 or 3 years, you might get a nice quick one that's 3 months, 6 months. So you get to learn a lot, do a lot of different things. We're also investing into our own IP. One of the first one is Fish Tanks, which some of you might have seen announced a few months ago. It has been pushed back to, we did say we're going to release it this year, but we pushed it back to next year just because of COVID. We're adding online multiplayer for it. And so that's coming out early next year with publishers. And I think there's going to be a trailer after the end of this. So yeah, we're looking for people to work on both work for hire projects and our own IP. There are 2 other own IP games, but they're not quite ready to talk about yet, so I won't. So just about us and working at Sock Monkey. So as Ollie said, we're in our 8th year of business. We've got a team made up of industry veterans and emerging talent. So there's a nice mix of vastly experienced people as well as fresh grads. There's a good mix of people there. We're aiming to be around 50 by next Christmas, and we're on target to hit that. We have so you might know that we're in Boho 5 in the Middlehaven Docks in Middlesbrough, but we're actually moving into a new office next week on Albert Road called 1626, which is a new big tech hub in Borough. And also we've won a few awards this year. Well, we won one, but we were nominated for a few others. So yeah, Small Business Award and Company of the Year at the Tees Tech Awards. That was really cool. So we're getting recognised for all the efforts that we're doing. And life at Sock Monkey, yeah, we've got a lot of benefits that we're doing. We're always reviewing these as well. So flexible working hours. We've got 0 crunch culture. We do not do crunch. Been there, done that. Didn't want to do it at Sock Monkey. regular team building events. Not as many now due to COVID, but we are still doing stuff online. It's quizzes and board game nights and all sorts. So it's a bit of a challenge at the minute, but they are there. Free drinks, snacks, and refreshments. Again, with COVID, so we can't just send you a Pepsi through the post, but we do stuff. And then the cool stuff like health insurance, death in service. That's not that cool, but bike to work scheme, electronics purchasing scheme, gym discounts. We've got a lot of different things. We try and help each other along and try and help all the staff along and make life a little bit easier and better for them. And then obviously the big perk that everybody talks about is working with Minnie the Pug. So yeah, she comes into our office and just runs around. Really tried to get her program, but she's not great at it. So there you go. That's us. These are the jobs we're looking for. Need a lot of programmers, a lot of senior programmers, artists, and lead artists at the minute we're looking for as well. So all those jobs and more are available at saltmonkeystudios.net/careers. We're constantly looking for people. We've got some really cool projects that will be starting back end of the year and early next year. So please do keep an eye out on the website and on our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. Thank you.
Right, Bob. Well, thanks very much for that presentation. Minnie's been getting lots of love in the Discord. I think everyone loves a dog. And she's just running around the office, is she, distracting people?
Currently, she's at home. She's actually been scratching at the door during that, so I apologise if anybody could hear her trying to get on the camera. But yeah, she just comes around and trots around the place, thinks she owns the place.
And does she? Is she a shareholder?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, she's a shareholder. Yeah, we've got the Harry Redknapp. Put it in the dog's name.
I noticed during your presentation that you mentioned even after COVID, you're going to be doing a hybrid model with remote and in the office. Does that mean people can apply from anywhere in the UK, or are you taking on contractors as well, or other European countries?
Yeah, a bit of everything really. So we were working with a few remote people before COVID happened anyway, and then I think it just proved that it can be a thing. Yeah, we still have the office open now for a select few people, all socially distanced and safe. So yeah, we're fully embracing the remote working and the hybrid model. So yeah, we're all for it.
Brilliant. Okay, and of course, as I mentioned at the start, you take part in all of the local networking events, and that's a good way to meet your guys, is it? To sort of learn a bit more about the company.
Absolutely, yeah. When they're on. Yeah, when they're on, yeah, we're always at Gamebridge, Animex and Gamio and things like that. We always take a handful of us go down, and definitely the best way to just approach us and just chat. Even if you just want to chat about what we're doing or what you're up to, then yeah, just come see us.
Brilliant. Okay, well, just another quick reminder, Discord link is at the bottom of the screen. Please make sure you join it. You can ask questions in the general channel, and during and after the event, you can join any of the channels of any of the games companies that are there. Ask them, their employees, direct questions about the jobs available, and of course, find out on the Eventbrite. If you're signed up, you'll get a link at the end with all of the jobs available. So, Bob, thank you very much for joining us.
No worries, mate. Thank you.
Cheers. So Bob mentioned briefly there Animex. Animex is a game and animation festival being held by Teesside University. Obviously, normally it's face-to-face, but it's currently online. It's this week and next week, and they've got industry talks and guest lectures. They've got some screen events showing off some of the local talent as well. So do check out Animex if you get the chance. Next up is a word from our sponsors, so please pay attention. Thank you.
Like you'll ever get paid to play video games, they said. You've gone on to become players, creators, fans, all in one huge and growing community. Video games bring us closer, even when we're apart. And Barclays has seen this. We've been partnering with the likes of Yuki, Women in Games, Tiger, and Game Republic. We know that gaming's many faces can truly make a positive impact. We're there with you, whether you're making the next great game or just looking forward to playing it. Squad up, we're Barclays.
So thank you very much, Barclays, sponsoring the event. So though watching videos like that might not be for everyone, it is part of looking after the event, and we appreciate it very much. Thank you. So on to next company, which I am slightly biased about because I'm the founder, but we'll be joined by Chris Wilson, who is my colleague there. He's the design director. Hello, Chris. How are you doing?
Fancy seeing you here.
Oh, we've met once or twice, I believe. So really, it's biased for me to be talking about Cardboard Sword, so I'll let Chris do that for me. But we've got jobs available, so please, I'll let you take over. People are fed up of hearing from me, probably. Bye.
It's true. So am I. Just give me one moment to hit the right button. Yeah, it works every time. Never any problems. There we go. I believe that's working. And now we just do this. It's the most fun part of any presentation. Okay, so for the next 3 minutes, I'm going to convince you to come and work for Cardboard Sword. I'm just going to start off by, obviously, Ollie introduced me, but I'm the design director at Cardboard Sword. And I just want to run through what we're working on, where we've come from, and hopefully where we're going with your help. So a little bit about us first. We're a fully independent developer. We focus entirely on our own IP, and we've been running for about 7 years. And during the entirety of those 7 years, excuse me, this is driving me nuts. There we go. And over those 7 years, we've always been fully remote. We love it. It works for us. We have 11 full-time staff at Cardboard Sword, and we have a number of long-term contractors. Though obviously we are looking to grow. That's why we're here. Now, if you may have heard of us before, if you have, you've probably heard of our pixel art Metroidvania, The Siege and the Sandfox. We often call it a Metroidvania, but really to us, it's a Stealthvania. And that's just combining the two most important elements of the game to us. That is the stealth element. Obviously, we'd rather you sort of, didn't tackle everything head on and stealth your way around the environment. And the more classic Metroid aspect, where it's a huge open world and progress through that is gated through basically the player's own mastery, but also some traditional unlocks to help you along the way. We also recently announced a new title, Transmission. Transmission is a completely different game, but it's a completely different style of game, but it's still an Unreal Engine. This game is it's a cozy nighttime driving simulator, basically. You'll drive up and down the rainy UK motorways and just have a lovely, cozy time. We'll talk more about it in the future, but the important thing to note is those are the jobs we're looking for. So currently we have a generalist coder position, a tools coder position, and a vehicle physics position. It's important to note that early next year, we'll probably also have some 2D and 3D artist positions, but keep an eye out for those, basically. I don't want too many negatives, but just one thing to say is, unfortunately, at this time, we can't really take on interns or do apprenticeships or work experience. Also, please don't apply for prospective jobs. If we're not listing it, we just can't support it. I'd love to support that in the future, but right now it's just not viable. Little heads up about the software we use. As I said, we're completely Unreal Engine based, primarily Blueprint, but the C++ for the coders, of course. We use Perforce, G Suite, Jira, TeamCity, and of course Slack. And I think getting to the most important bit here is why you might want to work for us, why you should work for us. So I think it's important to mention that while we're fully remote, obviously at the moment many people are fully remote, but we're fully remote by choice. We've done this a long time. We know what works, we know what doesn't, and we're happy to share that with you and help get you set up. And once you're set up, we just trust you. We trust you to know the best way for you to work. That means you can set your own hours, and as long as you deliver the work on time and to the standard we expect, you can do it whenever, however you want. And if you don't yet know how you work best, then we'll help you find that. And related to how well people work, we know what doesn't work, and that's crunch. Many of us, sadly probably the majority of us, have been through that in the past. We're never doing that again. So if that all sounds good to you, please head over to our careers page, cardboardsword.co.uk/careers, or maybe just send us an email at jobs@cardboardsword.co.uk. Okay, thank you.
Right, well, thanks very much. Thanks very much for that, Chris. Unfortunately, we did have a few comments in the Discord that your microphone's a bit quiet. I'm not sure why that is. It sounds absolutely fine to me. But either way, all the details you need about the jobs at Cardboard Sword can be found at the careers page. I'm already starting to talk as if it's me promoting my own company, which in a way
you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that. But yeah, so that's Cardboard Sword. Chris, thanks very much. Chris is based in Milton Keynes. We've got people all over the UK. So they've got people all over. I don't know how I'm supposed to be presenting this. I feel biased already. But yes, so Cardboard Sword, join us for a 3D driving game or a 2D pixel game.
Yes,
okay. So thanks very much again, Chris. Once again, don't forget to join us on the Discord. Don't forget that you can ask questions that I can ask live to the persons that are doing the presentations. We've got 2 more games companies up next. First is going to be Double 11, then followed by People Can Fly. So from Double 11, we've got Ian. Double 11 started in Middlesbrough about 10, 11 years ago.
10 years ago, yeah, 10.
Well, I was actually part of it at the time. So I came to Middlesbrough to work at Double 11. And the company has worked on a huge number of IPs now. Most famously and most recently is of course Minecraft Dungeons.
Yes, yeah.
But back when I was still there, we were working on the Little Big Planet franchise with Sony. Right. And then, of course, you guys had the very famous Goat Simulator.
Yeah.
You have other titles like Rust. So I'll I'll ask you, please, to tell us more about it as well. I'm sure you've got a presentation ready for us, Ian. So off you go.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thanks, Ollie. It's great to be here, everyone, and lovely to talk to you about Double 11. I'm going to try and get out of your way as quickly as possible so that we can get on and you can go and meet some of my rather brilliant colleagues in the Discord. But before we do, a bit about me. I'm Ian Farrell. I'm the program manager here at Double 11. My background in games goes back to the 90s when I was a freelance journalist writing for like GameSpot and Freeloader and PC Gamer and things like that. I got scared in the 2000s around the time of the .com bubble, and I went and got a proper job. And I'm here today to tell you, don't get scared and don't get a proper job, because it might take you 20 years to come back to the industry. I rejoined the industry and joined Double 11 in 2019. And what I do is I help manage projects and resources kind of across the whole organization. It's a great industry to be in. It's wonderful to be back. I just wish I had more recent photos of me standing with Peter Molyneux and Lara Croft than ones literally taken in 1998. So where are we, Double 11? Well, as has been mentioned before, we're based in Middlesbrough. That's our headquarters in Boho 1. And we also have a studio in Malaysia in Kuala Lumpur, which we opened this year. And they're starting now to contribute to our projects and input work there. And we're super excited to see the work that they're doing. Despite the pandemic, we do believe in having a co-located space as well as remote. And I think remote working is working surprisingly well for us and a number of other studios. But we think it's good to have a space to get together as well. So we're over 125 people right now, and we're continuing to grow worldwide. The work that we do when we are together or remote is a lot of work for hire with partners like Mojang or Minecraft and things like that. So there's downporting and console ports, a bit of remastering work there. We do some service support when those things are live, and we do publishing. A lot of the time we work with people on games like Songbringer, which are a sort of single developer type game, and we help them publish. So if you have a game like Dungeons that is running well on an Xbox One X and you want to get that running on a Switch, then we're the people to help you do that. In terms of things that we're working on, as we mentioned, we are working on Dungeons. We shipped this year despite COVID and have done 2 updates since that shipped, which has been brilliant to see. And the reaction around the world has been massive, actually. We really enjoyed seeing players get on board with this fantastic crawler, a dungeon crawler, and play the Creeping Winter DLC, which was born in Middlesbrough with our own team. Very exciting. We also work on Prison Architect on console. We've just released the Island Bound DLC, and we're working on more to come there. So if you fancy building your own prison and playing with helicopters and boats and things like that, like head over and grab that now. It's really good. And as a few people have said, we've got some stuff coming out as well that we can't talk about yet either. So you're just going to have to join to find out what these exciting new titles are, new IPs, and just really exciting projects. I have to stop because otherwise I will say things that I shouldn't. But our slate of games that we have worked on and are working on is big. And that is a big reason, I think, to come and join us and talk to us. All the companies here are very closely related to one another, but we think we've worked really hard to kind of create a great working environment. We won a couple of Best Places to Work awards in the last few years. We also offer a good bonus scheme, which we've adapted as well during COVID. So there's things like you get your birthday off and some nice perks, but we've also paid people extra bonus money every month to pay for teas and coffees that they would normally get in the studio. And we did a really nice thing this year, actually, for people with children. So if, like me, you've got kids through this time, it's been really hard. And we gave parents an extra day off on the day that their kids went back to school. And we did that to try and make sure that they had a day to themselves. So this wasn't a day that you would just add on to your holiday and do something else. It was so you could do something for you. As with others, we avoid crunch where possible, and we pay overtime. It's really important to us that you're getting paid for the work you do, especially if you have to do extra stuff at the end for whatever reason. And the reason I think for coming to us, as I've found in joining in the last year, is just to learn from some great colleagues, right? We've got some really, really fantastic people, a lot of experience, and they've been an incredibly warm and welcoming bunch for me to learn from. And the great thing is you don't have to just take my word for it. You can take the words of my colleagues and friends who I've brought who are already on Discord. So we've got Cara, Ben, George, Jenny, Keenan, Rob, Rebecca, Darren, Rich, Lewis is here, Joe, our recruiter, Charlie and Stuart. They're all hanging out on the Discord. I'll be there once I've finished talking at a rate of knots to all of you. And I'd encourage you just to come and ask us any questions. What we're looking for at the moment, well, we either have or will have soon openings in all disciplines, and we're onboarding people remotely at the moment because reasons. We're especially looking at the moment for graphics programmers, for artists on the concept and UI side, and we're also opening up soon, although it's not there yet, for a content creator on the publishing side. So Jo, actually, our recruiter, is only in her second week, so we're pushing quite hard to get this stuff done. I think she's hit the ground running and doing a great job. So if you want to get in touch, we are at 11 Limited on Twitter. You can send prospective CVs or emails if you're interested in talking about stuff to jobs@11.com. And you can find the open listings that we have currently on 11.com/careers. Thanks very much.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for talking to us about 11. As I say, I used to work myself, so I know the crowd very well. Yeah. Are you, after the lockdown has calmed down, going to maintain the long distance working as well? Is that something that you like the idea of keeping? Obviously, you've got lovely offices. I've been there myself, but yeah. And we saw some lovely photos of them in the talk. But yeah, is that something that you're starting now since the lockdown has begun?
Yeah, so we actually haven't really decided. Like, we've been focused more on what we've got to deal with right now, which is like we're not making anyone go back to the office before January. We think that's the right thing to do. And anyone who does want to go back to the office, I think someone else who was speaking said the same thing, where it's like good for people's own well-being, we're letting them go back to the office socially distanced. And actually, that's been such a small number of people. They basically have a room to themselves in Boho 1 in a lot of cases. So I think one thing I can say is it would be silly of us not to take advantage of this, right? We've shown it works. We've shipped Minecraft Dungeons. Microsoft have, for the first time, shipped a game on 4 platforms at once and shipped DLC, and we're part of that, right? So we're 3 of those 4. So I think that's a massive deal, and that demonstrates that we can do it. So I think we will keep the good bits, and we'll kind of lose some of the not so good bits over time. I think the important thing is we have a space where we can get together when we need to, and we also support people in doing the work they need to do when they also need to go away somewhere and work on something. And if being at home to do that's the best place, then I suspect that we will let them do that. Brilliant.
And you've got Middlesbrough College spitting distance from your main office. You've got Teesside University down the road as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have been asked in the Discord previously about graduate positions, internships, apprenticeships, and work experience.
Yeah.
And myself, running a games company in the region, get lots of applications for those positions too. So what's your advice for people in those positions, graduates with limited experience and people looking to just get their foot in the door? What do you have available, and what do you advise to those that can't necessarily fulfill jobs that you have?
Yeah, sure. Well, one thing I would say, I'm glad you mentioned it. We've got placements who have started this year with us. We were very careful to bring people on and make sure that we could support them properly, because if we were doing placements, we wanted to do them the right way. And that's a scheme we've had in place for a few years. We've had a few placements through, and we've had people come on that scheme straight from university, like do a year out, go back, finish their courses, and then come and join us actually as well. And we're hoping that a few people who've done that recently in the most recent changeover will come back and do that, because they were awesome. So we do placements. I think if you're in terms of starting and you want to get a foot in the door in the industry, the good thing is that the tools are more readily available and more democratized than they probably ever have been. And so my advice generally is to start. You know, if you can start doing something, if you're maybe at A-level stage and you've not quite got to uni and you're not doing your course yet, but you have an interest in it, start by doing something and poke around. Like a good example, I'll name check and embarrass Tom, who's one of our designers, who was working in game when he literally poked his head in the door at the studio and said, "Can I come and work in games? I've always wanted to work in games." There you go. And we said to Tom, "Will you build tables?" And he was like, "Sure, whatever." And we went, "Great, you're in." And he is one of our designers on Dungeons. So you know, it's really about skills can be taught, attitude can't. So if you are like a go-getter and a starter, for want of a better expression, then get started, get in touch with us, and we'll see if we can find a way. Because at the very least, I can try and put people in touch with someone internally who can talk to them about stuff, talk to them about live events and events locally that are in the regions that they can try and get to. Because it is hard when you're younger and you just don't know where to start. And it seems like this insurmountable thing to climb. And actually, the good thing is, you know, we've all got these in our pockets. Twitter is there. Like, just start contacting people, because in my experience, nobody ever said no when someone asked for help. Like, if you were genuinely interested, you know, people want to help people get up, in our industry especially.
Brilliant. And one of the questions that's come through is, are those placements that you spoke about strictly for students, or is there like a graduate program for persons that have perhaps not gone through higher education, or also a specific game related course that they can sort of, you know, jump on board and get the experience they need?
Yeah, so we haven't historically had that in there, but that doesn't mean that we would, you know, if someone sent us their portfolio, and that's why I say contact us at jobs@, because as we staff up and add extra people to our kind of people and culture team, if you like, which we're building out at the moment, you know, we'll have a few more eyeballs that can look at this sort of thing. And I think we would be interested to see anything like that. And that's why I say, like, have a portfolio, build some stuff, share some things around, because even if you're poking around, noodling around with a personal project, that demonstrates, right? That shows that you can start. And I know in previous industries I've been in, that's a great way in, because it demonstrates that, like, you're keen, and it show, you know, you're not going to be held back either way. So we'd be silly to turn people away like that often.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much again for your presentation and for being part of this event. Once again, to those watching, if you've got a little bit of time left to sign up to the Eventbrite. Obviously, the event is ongoing, and you're watching it now. Of course, others are watching it will be watching it on catch up. But if you sign up to the Eventbrite page, you'll get your email after the event with all of the jobs listings that have been spoken about so far, and that will be coming from our last guest, People Can Fly, shortly. So if you go to gamesjobs.live, type that into your browser, gamesjobs.live, and then you can find the links to the Eventbrite there, get signed up, and you get all the information from this program and potentially future programs as well. So moving on to our final games company is People Can Fly. They're based in Poland, but they also have they've got offices in Canada, the US, and the UK, and other parts of the the world as well. So please welcome Camille.
Hello there. Hello, Ali.
How are you doing?
Nice to meet you. Good. Nice to meet you.
So are you based in the Newcastle office? Are you based in
me, myself, I'm in Newcastle, along with some other engineers here. But as you said, we've got offices in other countries, 2 in North America that you've mentioned, 3 in Poland, and 1 in the UK.
Brilliant. Okay. And have you been in Newcastle for long?
So I was actually employee number 3, and I started just over 2 years ago in April 2018.
Well, okay, so a good few years at least.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and People Can Fly are most famous for what? Bulletstorm, perhaps, or
Bulletstorm. We worked on the Gears of War series, and a while back we've made Painkiller, which was a huge success.
And right now you're working on Outriders, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And are you working on that from the Newcastle? Are you allowed to say if you're working on that from Newcastle?
Yes, I'm working on Outriders full time. So we basically collaborate between different studios. We're all pitching in to get that game out.
Well, before I ask you any more questions that you're most likely going to be covering, I'll let you get on with your presentation. But yeah, thanks very much.
Sure, okay. Let me just share it. Okay, so as I said, my name is Kamil Sławicki. I'm the Associate Lead Programmer for Tools and Automation at People Can Fly here in Newcastle. And who is People Can Fly? So we were established in 2002 in Warsaw, Poland. And since then, we've grown quite rapidly to span across 6 different locations. So we're in Newcastle. We've got 2 studios in America and 3 in Poland, with the headquarters being in Warsaw. And what do? We make games, obviously. We've got loads of experience with Unreal Engine. We've been using it since at least 2007, and we definitely got shooters in our DNA. Our last title was Bulletstorm. Before that, we worked on Gears of War, and even before that, we've made Painkiller. And now we're focused on a brand new IP called Outriders. So Outriders is an RPG shooter built for next gen. We've partnered with Square Enix to be our publisher, and Outriders is really about pushing new and innovative ideas to mix with some really cool Unreal technology. And technology is what brought me here today. So what's happening in Newcastle, we're trying to build a technology hub to attract more engineers. And our current engineers have experience in various different backgrounds, such as online and AI. And that, I think, makes our team really diverse. If you've got questions, you've got engineers in the room from knowing all different aspects, and you can always ask questions and get different answers. So yes, if you've got experience in both C++ and Unreal Engine, we'll definitely want to hear from you. That's it. Thanks.
Peggy 18.
I have become terror. The unseen predator. A rupture that obliterates without warning. Alone, the hordes of Enoch will fall before me. But together, this entire planet will fear us. The anomaly alters us each in our own ways, yet we are drawn down the same road into the dark heart of creation. 'Cause I feel the way you feel. We will find the source, whatever it holds, whatever it takes.
Wow, well, that looks impressive.
Thank you.
So that's ongoing at the moment, and that's what you're actively recruiting for, is that right?
That is exactly what we're actively recruiting for. But we've also announced not long ago that we're working on a new IP in New York, so we're recruiting there as well to work on something new.
Okay, so you mentioned obviously you have offices in these different locations. So can people apply for your office in Newcastle and then perhaps be moved over or find the links to the jobs? Is there a single location that they can get all those jobs for?
So all the jobs are listed on our website, and there you can filter through location. And I believe you can start at one studio, and if there's reason to change studios, I think we could facilitate a move if that was necessary.
Brilliant. And we've spoken earlier about how there are a lot of sort of graduate students in the regions, and the different courses that they're on. Some of them will specialize in Unreal and some will focus on Unity. Do you find that people with sort of a more Unity-based skill set can still apply and still transition to work for you and move over to Unreal? Do you have a period where you sort of focus on retraining into C++, for example, or the tools that Unreal have?
So it's actually funny you mention it, because I myself graduated from one of those courses. I graduated from Abertay
Right.
a while ago, and I've actually started with Unity. I worked with Unity for a good couple of years before I transitioned to Unreal. It wasn't easy. It took some effort from me, but I got there in the end. But as of People Can Fly, I think we're really focused to get the people with Unreal experience. We don't have any placements for graduates at the moment, but that may change in the near future. Basically, we just want to grow and get more people in, so we could actually facilitate the graduates properly here, to give them proper focus and allow them to learn something. So the door isn't closed. It may open in the near future. We'll see how this COVID situation plays out.
And if someone were to apply to you that perhaps didn't necessarily have any industry experience, but had an exceptional portfolio with lots of projects that they'd worked on, especially perhaps in Unreal and C++, do you think that's a CV that you guys would still actively look at and consider?
Yes, absolutely. So I think any kind of experience is great. And when I look at different CVs, I look at what people did in the past, and I think just the jobs. Like, obviously, you start off with some side projects. You don't necessarily have the industry experience, but it's a good place to start to work on some side projects.
And same question I've asked lots of other parties. Do you think you'll be allowing remote working once the lockdown is over, or are you going to insist on coming into the office?
So at the moment, the plan is to go back to the office when it all dies down a little bit. But there hasn't been a definite no that we will just, not be able to work remotely. So we're still waiting for some solid confirmation on that.
Cool. And you guys are based in Gateshead, aren't you, near the Proto building? Is that correct?
We're actually in the Northern Design Center, right next to the Proto.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Okay. And what do you guys sort of do for employee benefits, or wind down time, a bit of fun after work?
So we've got an excellent games library that you can borrow games from. We offer gym membership, private healthcare, including dental, and the rest is just standard. You get fresh fruit, drinks in the fridge, etc. And we've got pretty good coffee, I must say.
It's very important.
It's important.
Okay, well, Camille, thank you very much for joining us. People Can Fly. So once again, all of the jobs will be available via the Eventbrite link that you can still sign up to, I believe. But do join the Discord, as all of the people that have been showing off their jobs and their companies during this session have team members actively in the channels. They've got channels dedicated to each games company where you'll be able to ask direct questions. So anything that you perhaps didn't get answered, anything they didn't mention during their talks, you can go in there, speak to their employees, ask them, as brutally honest as you like, what's it like working here? Can you tell me a bit more? Do remember, please, no personal details on the Discord, even if it's given to representatives from the companies. Please just use the links that are sent out or from the games companies' websites directly. The Discord link, once again, is at the bottom of this. It's been going there the entire time, discord.gamesjobs.live. So get on there. And of course, there will be future Games Jobs lives at different different parts of the UK, and now there's one in Montreal, and hopefully they'll be expanding a bit further afield. But yeah, do sign up to future events, as there may be companies from other parts of the UK that do remote working and don't necessarily rely on working from their offices, as we've heard quite a lot from companies so far, especially Cardboard Sword. Am I being biased there again, Colin?
I can't think why.
We need programmers. Join us.
Indeed, I love the fact that we made you read a moving target as you're reading the Discord link off the bottom of the screen, as if your job isn't hard enough. Fantastic! What a brilliant selection of companies, and we kind of had this similarly with Montreal last week, where just the variety of types of projects and scales of projects and time scale that these projects take to complete, I think is fantastic, because I'm very conscious that I've spent, certainly the first half of my career was kind of on big AAA projects, and I think the record is it's not a good record, but I think the record was 7 years on a game. And
wow.
You spend 7 years on a game, and you get very jealous when something like mobile comes along and people are churning out a game in, at that time, what was months. But I know people working in mobile that were churning out a new game every other month that were jealous of the depth that we were able to go to with the AAA games. I mean, do you have a preference for timescale and the variety of timescale when you're doing things?
I've worked on a lot of different games, especially being a QA tester in the earlier parts of my career. Obviously, when you're in that process, the lifespan of the project's much shorter than the entirety of the project. So you tend to obviously come in towards the end and be on sort of one project intensely for, say, 3 months or so, and then move on to the next. And of course, that they're a much more sort of close to finish phase at that point. So there's more of a complete experience. You can see where the game is. Since running Cardboard Sword, and back when I was working for a few other companies where I was involved at earlier stages of development, it goes from test builds are barely playable at 5 frames per second, and often for a large part of the development you don't even get to see anything. So I can understand wanting a bit of both, and fortunately some of the companies in the Northeast do a bit of both. I personally, I do like the more fulfilling sort of 3-year programs where you can see that sort of point zero and get to that sort of last few months of development and see that and be like, right, there's what the journey is getting towards, and there's this sort of vast entity. And of course, the games do tend to be longer, larger, and higher sort of production values with a AAA project or a large indie project. So the end result is more something more to bite, I guess, to get your teeth into.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, I mean, COVID is dominating. We're all bored of talking about it, but it does come up when you're talking about work and people returning to offices. But in the meantime, I mean, in terms of the impact on productivity and probably more importantly creativity, I mean, what's your take on that? I mean, there's obvious advantages, people not commuting, but there's downsides as well. I mean, what have you seen has been the impact of that side of things?
Well, I'll speculate a little bit, if you'll forgive me. I can imagine when one is forced into commuting, if it's not driving, the mind can be forced to drift. And I can imagine, similar to sort of those shower moments or those pre-falling asleep bed moments, that if you're sort of stuck on a train looking out a window, the imagination can drift, and I'd imagine that can be sort of quite cathartic at times. Similarly, though, when you're at home, if you're not being interrupted by necessities of commuting and just getting ready, I'd imagine that there's benefits of those times there as well. But then if you're subjected to children, then that might be harder. Forgive me, I don't have any children, so not an inconvenience I suffer from. But so realistically, I think there's a lot on both sides, and I can't attest to. I can't claim to talk for everyone, but as Chris mentioned, Cardboard Sword, we've been remote since day one, and I don't think we've had any large problems with that. In fact, I think the opposite at times. And one of the great things about working remotely is you can grab your laptop and go to a park or a cafe and change your environment. And so I know Chris in particular has taken great enjoyment in doing so, and visiting family, going to another location. So that enables you to get those different stimuli, change your environment, and I think that's healthy.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And if in the unlikely event that any of our dear leaders are watching, you've maybe just given them the perfect excuse when they go back to trying to encourage us to get back on office and trains. It's like, look out the train window and get inspired.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, to go back to an earlier point you made about the diversity of the games in the Northeast, it's fantastic to see such a huge range of huge IP. You know, we've got Minecraft at Double 11, and we've got Ubisoft with all of their suite of games at Reflections in Newcastle, and we've got games like The Siege and the Sandfox and Transmission, two massive IPs from Cardboard Sword. So you know, it's great to see that this sort of sometimes disregarded region of the UK has such powerful IPs and such brilliantly impressive games coming out of it. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. And one of the things that I think I've learned today is that it doesn't sound like it's pronounced Mojang. It's pronounced Mojang, which I suppose makes sense, but I'd never thought about. So you learn something new every day.
yeah, I actually hadn't thought of that. I suppose
No.
yeah.
Oh, well, we've benefited from this as well, and we certainly hope everyone else that's been watching has as well. We're going to leave everyone just to chat to the companies in the Discord. The Discord's going ballistic. It's fantastic. Please keep asking the companies questions. They're on till 6 o'clock. They're here to speak to you. We'll have a very quick quiz. So this is just for fun. We've got a question about each of the companies. So let's kick off the quiz. There's a broadcast delay, so this might go a little bit out of sync, but if we just rattle through the questions quickly. So the first question is from Double 11. During Little Big Planet Vita development, they ate takeaway so often from a local restaurant that they actually featured it in the credits. What was the restaurant called?
Well, I obviously know the answer to this one. I won't say, but I was there at the time during the project and had the joy of eating at this place quite frequently myself.
Oh, well, and if you're from Dundee, two of the wrong answers are places I've frequented in Dundee, so that maybe makes it a bit easier. Next question from People Can Fly. When did they start working with Unreal technology? And I think the Sock Monkey question is about to come up. So who are Sock Monkey currently sponsoring and collaborating with in their upcoming title Fish Tanks? That did look a lot of fun, actually.
I've had a quick look at it, yeah, before lockdown, and it does look fantastic. It's a lot of fun it's one of those high energy, real sort of competitive feeling games that you just want to sort of play over and over again with a few beers. And I think it'll do well, especially now that they're sticking the online multiplayer in it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then Ubisoft Reflections. In what year did Reflections start developing video games? They've been around a little while as a studio. So,
but it's odd to think because it's practically not too far off when I was born. So it's strange to think that, because back when I was
60s, there was no games industry in the 60s, Ollie.
Thanks very much. But back when I was younger, you know, I remember looking for games jobs and looking for games courses that would teach me the skill sets, and there was nothing available. So to think that, you know, all the way back to even when I was born, there was a company in the UK making games. I was quite impressed.
Absolutely. And then the final question, some company called Cardboard Sword. What portmanteau do Cardboard Sword use to describe the Siege and the Sandfox?
Say again, what?
What portmanteau?
Ah, right, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you'll maybe just have to take a wild stab at the answer, but yeah. Anyway, right, our quiz is complete. It looks like we have 3 clear winners. We have TJW, we have Jay, and we have Sunil. So congratulations, well done. You've paid attention. We've got nothing for you to win, but you've got the respect of, 350 people were watching this live. So very well done. And that's us in terms of the live stream. This is your last chance to register on the Eventbrite to get the email with all the the URLs for all the jobs from all the companies that have been mentioned. So if you've just dropped into this and haven't registered on the Eventbrite, go to our website, which is gamesjobs.live. From there, it will take you to an Eventbrite for today's event. Register, and in about 15 minutes, there should be an email go out with all the links. Obviously, you can keep chatting to the companies in the Discord for the next 45 minutes. But then hopefully there's a bunch of roles you want to apply for, and you can do that after you're finished chatting after 6 o'clock.
Can I take the opportunity to just do a couple of plugs again quickly?
Absolutely.
So just to remind everyone that Animex is ongoing at the moment. It's this week and next week. It's an animation and games festival hosted and run by Teesside University. They've got some fantastic speakers from all over the world, lots of different companies. I'm pretty sure one or two that are featured here are involved as well. So there's an industry panel next week as well. So look up Animex, ANIMEX. Separate to that is there's a networking event in Middlesbrough called Game Bridge, which I co-run with Bruce Slater from Radical Forge, who have just released their game White Paw. Look it up. But when the lockdown is over, we do quarterly networking events for the games industry, hosted in Middlesbrough, but with a free coach put on from Newcastle and Sunderland as well. So it's a great opportunity to get involved with networking and meet some of the companies that have shown today. And also there's a dev drinks that are held in Newcastle once a month at a pub on a Friday near the river. It's a wonderful informal event to meet developers in the region. If you're an existing developer or if you're looking to get into the industry, it's run by Frankie of Pocket Money Games. Lovely guy, lovely event called Game Dev Drink. I'm pretty sure that's still the name. Forgive me if it's not, but I'm sure you'll be able to find it otherwise.
So it sounds good, although presumably limited to 2 households at a time at the moment, but hopefully that will return to normal before too long.
I do miss networking events. They're great fun.
Yep, absolutely. We've got a few more Games Jobs Live events coming up. Next week, we're coming from the Midlands. So tune in next Wednesday, 4 p.m. again from the Midlands, where we've got a bunch of companies from Leamington, Spa and the surrounding areas. Next Thursday, we have something very unique. So next Thursday, I think it's 8 p.m., but on the Games Jobs Live channel, we're running a charity event. This is for the charity Special Effect, who help disabled kids get into games by creating special controllers so that folk that couldn't otherwise enjoy games get to play them. An amazing charity. We've got a live stream 8 o'clock next Thursday, the 1st of October. We've got 8 ridiculously amazing speakers. I mean, we've got people from Rare, from Rocksteady. We've got presenters that you'll recognize off the telly, and the one I'm going to absolutely fanboy over is Tim Schafer. If you're into LucasArts games, Double Fine adventure games, I can't believe that we're going to get Tim Schafer on this live stream. That's going to be fantastic. As well as that, we've got a whole host of really cool prizes that we're raffling. So it's a £5 a ticket. The instructions will be given in the live stream on the night. But for a £5 a ticket, you're going to have the chance to win some really valuable prizes. There's really high-end monitors, there's conference tickets, and there's some really exclusive prizes that are literally money can't buy. So literally for a £5, you could get something that money can't buy. So you'll get an email as long as you've registered for today. We'll email you out the details of that nearer the time, but please do tune in. You know, whether you buy a raffle ticket or not, it's just going to be a fun evening, I think, because we've got great speakers. And then also next month, we've got a game jam. So it's called Game Parade. It runs from October the 11th to the 17th. And the whole point of this is that we want to showcase all the talents and skills and hard work of everyone that comes to an event like this, get them together for a week, make some great games. And we've then basically got a whole bunch of the companies that have presented various Games Jobs Live events to be the judges. So this is your way of showcasing your work and your skills directly to these companies. So again, we'll email you details about that, but do please put that week aside, October the 11th to the 17th. It'll be run on Itch. A bunch of you have done games jams on Itch before, so it'll be a familiar process, but it should be really good. In the email you're about to get, there'll be a little survey. If you're able to complete the survey and tell us what you liked, didn't like, what could be better about the event for future events, that would be great. I would just like to say thank you to Barclays again for sponsoring this event. It makes a big difference, helps make it happen. Thank you to them, and a massive thank you to all the companies that have presented today. Every single one of them has been fantastic. I don't know how you're going to choose between them if you've got to choose between which ones you apply to. So apply to them all.
My advice.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't be shy. Great companies, one and all. So put yourselves in front of them, and please tell us. It's fantastic hearing who gets jobs from these events. So let us know. And then just finally, Ollie, thank you so much for doing this. You've been on the spot for an hour and a quarter. You've handled it brilliantly. Thank you very much for coming along and giving us a bit of an insight into the Northeast and the Northeast companies.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me. I hope I didn't babble too much. I hope some of the things I said were insightful and useful. And once again, I am a little bit biased because we have my own company represented here today. So.
Fantastic. It's been lovely having you. Okay, folks, spend the rest of your time in the Discord, chat to the companies. They're around for the next 35 minutes. Thank you very much for coming along today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you don't already, because there are going to be more of these events. We'll see you at the next one. Thank you. Goodbye.